I live in Victoria in Australia. I was born in 1952 with bladder exstrophy. I'm now 64. I have a husband and three kids. 2 biological children and 1 adopted. I was born in a small hospital in Melbourne, Victoria. When I was born, the doctors didn't know what bladder exstrophy was, and I was rushed to the Royal Children's Hospital, where I had my bladder removed, and I had my ureter put into the colon, and I had that design until I was about 36, and I created bowel polyps, and the doctor said that was a bad having faeces and urine together, you'd had a propensity for cancerous polyps, so they changed me in 1986 to a urostomy, where I have a wafer and then a bag stuck onto that, and with the stoma, and my urine comes into the bag, and I empty it. I have to drink lots of water because I've got kidney problems, but I empty this probably hourly, and at night time I hook up to a overnight bag, which allows me to have a good night's sleep without having to get up to the toilet all the time. And one of my problems is continually having infections. One of my biggest problems is urinary tract infections because of the way my anatomy is, and each time you have an infection, it sort of knocks off a little bit of the functioning of the kidneys. I've only got the 1 kidney, and it's currently working at about 30%, which is low, but my specialist says I'll probably be all right as long as I'm above 12%. So I've got a little bit of leeway there, but I try very hard to drink lots of water and take my medication and look after myself as well as I can. My mother was very supportive of me all the time. Unfortunately, I felt that she was a little bit overprotective, and this caused me not to go on to camps and schools and all that sort of thing. But I overcame that because I was very interested in sport. Was in the school tennis team. I was very interested in softball and loved being in the team environment. Did pretty well in that, which was good. Played footy with my brother, which wasn't very female sort of sport to play back in those days, but I did. I had a very supportive aunt who was a nurse, and she helped my mum with my care when I was young. They were my grandparents, because my grandparents had passed away before I was born. So she was a very special person in my life. And unfortunately, when I was 10, my father passed away, and the responsibility of looking after me was, put back onto mum completely. My father was a real gentleman and a loving father, but I'm not sure whether he was a hands-on father in those days, in the 50s, not only with me but with, any children. During my childhood days, I remember spending a lot of time in hospital, and I missed a lot of school. We had 3 terms back then, but I probably missed a term a year, not all at once, but blocks of week or 2 weeks. The hospital I used to always have, they'd try and put me in the same room, which was near the window, when I could see my mum getting off the tram and coming in to see me, so I'd stand there. And one of the other things that I remember vividly was I loved milk in those days, and the if you didn't eat your meal at a certain time or when it came, then you didn't get anything until the next meal was due to arrive. So I got quite chummy with one of the cleaners there, and she'd often go in and get me a glass of milk from the fridge that I wouldn't have otherwise had, and I just remember her doing that for me, which was great. I was very fortunate to get a job in the disability field. I worked in the disability field for about 25 years, and the organisation that employed me, I was on the board for 11 years or so, and then was president of that for the last 2 years of my involvement with them. That also enabled me to travel within Victoria, and had a great group of colleagues, and I like to see positive outcomes for people with disabilities, and proper housing and proper health care, and just inclusion in the community was very important from my point of view.
Yeah, so
it has changed, and I'm coming here. I'm just excited for the young ones these days. What's around for them, and the supports and the camps, and the doctors and the professionals, and they're just a whole new world, compared with what I had, and I'm glad it's different and better. My teenage years were pretty happy years. I always had on my mind that I was different, but I rose above that because I tried to keep active and healthy and things like that. I played a lot of sport. When I left school, I went and worked for an insurance company, and that's where my husband Lindsay and I met, and he's been beside me ever since and been my rock. Just amazing support, and I couldn't have done it without him. It's been terrific. I can't put it into words because it means so much to me. We weren't sure whether we could have children, so I went to a couple of specialists, and one of them said yes, and the other one said if I was a betting person, I'd back the horse both ways. So that was good enough for us, and so we went ahead and managed to fall pregnant quite easily. And in 1978 we had our first baby, our son Grant, who's now nearly 39, and 3 years later we had another son. He's Blair, and he's 35, and so we had 2 healthy boys, which we thought was a real miracle for us, because I didn't know whether my women's organs were working as well or like everybody else, but the doctors felt that I could have children, so that was good. I ended up having 2 cesareans, which the doctors thought was the safest way. And then in 1980, 3 years later we had our daughter Anna. We adopted her from Korea, and the reason why we adopted was because before we thought we were going to have children, we looked at adoption in case we weren't successful, and we were successful, but we'd gone into the adoption side of things in depth, and we were still interested in adopting, so we went ahead and adopted Anna, who is now 32, so whatever year that is, that she came, so it's 81 I think. Grant is 39, Blair's 35 and Anna's 32, so And we're now in a really good space in our life. My husband, Lindsay, has retired, and we're very fortunate and blessed to have 4 grandchildren, 3 boys and a girl, aged 7, 5 and 5 and 3, and they're the joy of our lives. We love the grandchildren, they're terrific. And since Lindsay has retired, we've had a real interest in travel overseas, and also locally we bought a caravan, so we've got into the grey nomad set. This is my rock, my husband Lindsay, and we've been together for 42 years. I've had a wonderful life, and I've got a lot more to go. That's mainly because of the support of Lindsay and my family. They understand my medical issues. It's enabled me to travel and meet wonderful, wonderful people all over the world. And I, manage my condition as best I can, and it doesn't really stop me from doing anything. Having bladder exstrophy has opened a whole new world to me in relation to the medical field, and having to look after yourself and take your medication regularly and all that sort of thing. Now that we're at the stage of life that we're retired, we're doing a lot of travelling, and overseas and within Australia. I've made some wonderful friends in the medical field because of me pestering them all the time for appointments and medications and all that sort of thing. So it hasn't stopped me from doing what I want to do.
Okay.
Good day, everyone.